Well, hey everybody, we're with you on the day after the 4th of July, and I slept in just a little bit. Yeah, the 5th. I slept in just a little bit today. We hope you had a great 4th of July, whatever you did, whether you went out to the park like we did and saw the city fireworks, or just spent time with your family, or stayed home because you hate fireworks. I saw some of all of the above on Facebook last night. But anyway, our sponsor for this week, as we begin this episode of the Ripple Effect podcast, is drinking water because it's been really hot several days. We want you to stay hydrated. And man, yesterday I took a bike ride. We worked outside.
Yeah.
I don't know how much water I drank.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah, it was. It was like 100 degrees, but then by the time the fireworks started,
it felt really nice.
I thought it was awesome out there last night.
Yeah.
And by the way, just a little disclaimer, we're not really sponsored by Great Value or Amazon or any of those
Walmart
people. That's just kind of our little way of starting our podcast each week. We didn't want there to be any confusion about that. But, okay, so last Sunday, it seems like a long... Oh, I forgot to silence my phone. But last Sunday seems like a long time ago to me, even though this is only Wednesday.
Yeah.
I wasn't even here for Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were still gone.
It felt like
our day went by quickly, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we're going to let these ladies talk here in a little bit. This is Makenzie Dignan and Rachel Busson, and they're going to be talking about CIY here in a few minutes. Daniel's still out on vacation. We hope that he and his family are having a great time away from the office. And last Sunday, Drew Johnson filled in for Daniel, as always, did an awesome job. It was he finished his internship in May, but, he hadn't had a chance to preach what he called his final words sermon. And I thought it was amazing. If you didn't get a chance to hear Drew's sermon, please pull it up online and listen.
Because we were gone, I did have to go back. We were like, oh, I forgot Drew was preaching, so I was like, dang it, because we love hearing him preach, so I had to go back and listen to it. But it was incredibly powerful. It always is.
I didn't know
when
he was
speaks.
preaching.
Yeah.
That week that we were gone.
And of course, Daniel hated that too because it was the week he was gone.
Yeah.
But when you're gone, you want to leave things in good hands, and so Drew was a great person to do that because he's preached here several times before. Now, next week, it's kind of weird because we have a non-staff member preaching 2 weeks in a row, and that rarely happens. But next week, our current preaching intern, Aaron Reeves, will be preaching. So Daniel will be back, and I think he'll help with music and be here and all that. But Aaron will be preaching, and so you all have known him as the red-haired drummer. But he'll be presenting the Word of God Sunday morning, so we're looking forward to that. All right, let's move on to our top 3, and a couple of these are repeats because they're the big things going on now. And the first one is that next week is VBS. Are either of you or both of you helping?
Yeah. I'm in preschool, I know that.
Okay, preschool.
Yep, I'm an elementary games leader.
Yeah, awesome.
So.
I'm sure I'll be doing tech.
Yeah.
I told Jesse, I think it was, I'd love to volunteer for something else, but I would still end up doing tech. So I do love VBS. Yeah. It's definitely an exciting week around here.
Weren't you the crazy person last year?
Me? No.
No, that was Daniel.
Yeah, because I was on sabbatical. I missed VBS last year.
Yeah. I remember you being like the crazy person like almost every year.
Well, Daniel is definitely more crazy than me at VBS.
He's like a big child.
I'm crazy with the lights and sound. Not so much on stage. At the end so register online and invite friends. Those are our big messages now. If you'd still like to volunteer, you can still do that. We'll find a place to put you, I'm sure. But the end of VBS then is the pool party, and we're just keeping you reminded of that. That'll be next Friday, July 14th, 7 p.m., and we pay for everybody to get into that. All right, third thing is the hymn sing, and periodically, about once every month or two, we have a hymn sing. I think I'll have to miss this one again. I love them, but often there at times I can't make it. But
I don't think I've ever made one either.
Yeah, so the hymn sing, they go out to different assisted living or nursing homes,
Oh, yeah.
and they
You
sing
talked
hymns.
about it on Sundays. I just don't think I've ever made it.
Yeah. So anyway, the next one will be this coming Sunday, 2:00 p.m., and it's right down the street from the church over at Aspire over on Urbandale. So everyone's welcome. Kids can come sing with parents or grandparents or whoever. And if you've never been to one, you're certainly invited to come join the hymn sing. And that's just a ministry to those who are in those living in those nursing homes or assisted living, and it's so encouraging to them. And they love to pick favorites, and I think it's a great ministry. Ed and Sarah Lewis kind of head that up and plan which dates and locations. So those are our top 3, VBS, pool party, and hymn sing. And we're going to get right in now to our weekly spotlight, and that's why these two are here. Of course, Rachel's our student minister. Makenzie just got back from the CIY trip. Well, they both did, but this was her experience attending it. Of course, Rachel's a leader. First thing, I wanted to ask Rachel a couple of questions, and then I'll just let her talk about CIY for those of you that don't know about it. But just what is it?
Yeah, CIY is a youth conference. They do like the best job that I've ever seen of taking these deep spiritual truths and they bring them down to an age-appropriate level.
Just like Superstar.
Just like Superstar. Well, it's the same. It's the same group. It's the same group that does Superstar that does CIY Mix, which I believe used to be CIY Believe, but it's CIY Mix, and they also do CIY Move. That's the high school one. So we went to the middle school week, and it's like everything that you would think of a youth conference: loud, smoke machines, lights, really good worship, really good music.
Those smoke machines?
Yes, there were smoke machines.
Yeah, I heard about it from a couple of the other adults that were there. It was a little bit too much smoke for them.
Yeah. That was the joke. I felt like I tried to gently rib them about like, okay, you guys are old men, but Lee Bowman had to sit in the back because the smoke machine was bothering him. But that was just a teasing. But they did a fantastic job. This was my first off going to this particular event, let alone leading it. So I thought did a fantastic event. They always do the best job with what their theme is and trying to like bring it down to a place where students can understand and apply it.
What was the theme? The
theme this year was Nevertheless from Galatians.
And out of realm.
We'll get to that. Galatians 2:20. They took it and I have been crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, and the life that I now live in the flesh I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself up for me.
Okay. And
talking about that idea of Christ has authority over us, that he lives in us, and that
a tattoo from that.
Yeah. They always have like these really cool interactive things, and that he is working in us. So those are like their top 3.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you answered my other 2 questions I had written down all in one. So I just wanted to give Rachel a chance to dialogue with Makenzie a little bit about how it was.
Yeah. So this is your first time, not at Superstart. How does it compare?
I think it was different because we used to be in a hotel for Superstar, not in dorms. And I now realize why college kids don't like dorms.
Yes, I heard a lot of comments about the living situations, but it was fun. It was just different. Right?
I didn't mind it. I just wish there was more color in there.
More color, yeah. I told her that's every college you ever go to is going to be white or gray or not a lot of color. So
that's the reason when people move into college, they bring like all their not everybody, but a lot of people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you think of the theme, and what do you remember from the lessons? Like what's the number one thing that you remember from the lessons?
I remember cinnamon roll. I don't know why.
Cinnamon roll?
I don't even remember why I remember that.
That was Christ works through us, I believe.
Yeah.
So you start
in the middle, and he works his way outside.
Works his way out. Yeah.
I don't know why I remember that one. I wasn't even there for that one.
We were not there for that one. Yeah. We had to miss that particular one, but we heard about it later. So as far as how CIY did their lessons and their theme, did you think it was something that you can remember, like going home? Yeah, I remember, I don't know why, but I got confused because we were in a doodle world, but then we were in the Wild Wild West. Yes. That got me confused. Yes, they had maybe like too many themes running all at the same time, so there was like their Nevertheless theme, which had like some doodle stuff that went with it, but the theme was like a Western theme, but it was also like a Western theme with aliens. I don't know if Preston has told you about this at all. And we were a little bit confused because we were like, you could have taken all of these alien games and just left them as like a Western theme. Yeah. And they would have made more sense because it was like aliens are invading the West. And
so they weren't invading. They were looking for water.
It was fine. It was just like way too much. So, but we put that on the evaluation at the end. So.
I remember getting the sticker for our team and looking at the pins, and then like the next day I found a random pin on the road.
You're talking about like for the different teams?
Yeah, for a different team.
Yeah, because we were all, they divide you by color. And that depends on like how you rotate meals and how you play the games and how you do a bunch of different things. So we were the blue team. Jackalopes. We were the lawless jackalopes. And we got 3rd out of 4th.
Now, did you pick that name?
No, we didn't. We had kind of, all of us had kind of wished that we were the Rootin' Tootin' Turtles. A lot of us did. But we got 3rd out of 4th, and we would have gotten, I think, last. Like, if I remember the point system, Aaron won 6,000 points for us, like, that very last day. So we were, like, just 3rd. Otherwise, we would have been last if it wasn't for Aaron Richardson, who got us at 6,000 points.
He lip-synced the whole song.
He didn't lip-sync the whole song. He lip-synced West Virginia, whatever that was. Yeah, so he got us some points. But, yeah, so what's one of the... either like a funny story or something the boys did that was so ridiculous that you were like, oh my goodness.
The boys do everything ridiculous. I'm just going to say that, but
we love the middle school boys. I love the middle school boys.
When we first got there, was it like the first 10 minutes while we were in our dorm room?
Oh.
Yeah, so someone...
In the girls, not the boys.
Yeah, someone overfilled the elevator, and then the fire alarm goes off. So we're all panicking, and we're all trying. It was loud. Yeah. And we were all trying to get out, and the elevator, we weren't allowed to use the elevator, so we were all trying to get out down the stairs. It was
we were on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, I feel bad for the people who were on the 4th.
Yeah, well, we had our group time on the 4th floor, so we were constantly going up and down all these flights of stairs because there was no access to any elevator.
Up and down.
Because
up and down.
The first 30, it was like we had gotten into our dorms, like not even 30 minutes, the fire alarm was going off, and I had just been telling them the story of my first time at CIY as a high schooler. Yeah. We got evacuated at like midnight. It was midnight. But somebody had like actually set off the fire alarm. It wasn't the elevator, and we didn't get back into our dorm till 2 a.m. So I had just been telling them this story, and then the fire alarm goes off. Yeah. So not great timing, but yeah, it meant we couldn't use the elevator all week.
And Natalie got mad, and I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, we're thankful that Rachel survived her first. Was that your first big trip, like as the leader?
I think so. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I think we all barely made it, but yeah.
And we will be having the next CIY. What do you call it? Move.
CIY move. Yeah.
So say something about that. Because that's another event, but it's for high school.
Yeah, so CIY Move is, we're less than 2 weeks away. It's VBS, and then it's the 17th through the 21st of July. It's the same event, but geared towards high schoolers. So it's like the same theme, but specifically for high schoolers. They do things, actually, I went through the schedule and I looked, and they do things actually quite a bit differently. So we're taking kind of a small group, but we still have room if anybody else wants to join last minute. We could probably make that work. We could find some fun somewhere. If money was an issue before, if they still want to go, we could make that work. So yeah, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good group. It's me and Levi Black who are the leaders, and I don't think he's ever, if I'm remembering, I don't think he'd ever done CIY.
Oh, really?
Like in his time in the youth group.
Wow.
Because he came in and Alan was leaving, and then
he just didn't go.
We just didn't. He didn't get a chance to. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting trip. But I'm
Mine was already interesting. We had 15.
Yeah, we had 15 middle schoolers.
9 boys and 6 girls do not mix all the time.
Well. Yeah. Anyway, we're thankful for Rachel, and I guess it was Lee
Bowman and Justin Margaret. Yeah, they were our leaders. And then of course Rachel's taking another however many days away from home soon for the next trip, and we know that's a sacrifice on them and their families, but it's worth it because these events, I don't know, when you hear from a graduated senior what was the most impactful things to them, it doesn't always come up, but a lot of the time it's one of these trips or the relationships that you make on these trips. Like, I love Wednesday nights, but it's like an hour and a half every week, and getting to be with students for like that concentrated of a time and just really getting to know each other is, I think, huge. And
I would say that's probably more what it is if you drill down. It's not that one week was like the earth-shattering thing of their whole life or whatever, but it was the people that they got to know, not only sponsors but peers. And I think that for me as well, growing up, the conferences we went to, especially camp, and the time you spent with those people and those sponsors, I mean, those were the people, a lot of them that still check in on me once in a while today, even, because of those developed relationships during that week. All right, so that was our CIY recap. I really am going to just leave you with a blessing today. I mean, it's kind of a challenge because it's a prayer, but we were talking about how there's a lot of times I would make blessings a challenge, like a takeaway from the sermon or whatever, and sometimes that's what a blessing is. It's also a challenge, but this is just a lot of times I give in the benediction at church a poem or a scripture or something before we leave, and so I have this book of blessings basically that I pull from once in a while, and this one has no author. It's just an unattributed blessing. So this is what I'm going to leave you with today. May the beauty of God be reflected in your eyes, the love of God be reflected in your hands, the wisdom of God be reflected in your words, and the knowledge of God flow from your heart, that all might see, and in seeing that they might believe. So that's our prayer for you this week. We thank you for joining us on the Ripple Effect podcast, and we hope to see you next Sunday for church. See y'all later.
See you later.